Welcome, everybody, to the November 13th, 2024 lame duck session of the Tourist Development Council. Look at that package. Saved some money. We're going to blow. Yep, saved a few trees. We're going to blow right through this one. I guess we started doing roll calls now, so we'll proceed with the roll call.
Alex Littross.
Present.
Julie Braga.
Present.
Mayor Andrea Young.
Present.
Vice Chair Tom Hermanson.
Present.
Wayne Sword.
Present.
And Dilesh Patidar.
Present.
Keith and Chair Steele both told us they would be out. I'm not sure. The mayor, Medina, may be coming still, so we'll see.
Okay. For reviewing the agenda, we'll ask any member of the committee to disclose any conflict that they have with any item on the agenda. Hearing none, we'll go to, we don't need a motion on the agenda, right? Right.
No, sir.
We'll go to approving the minutes of the October 23rd meeting. That was also a short meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second for approval of the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, Peter.
All right, thank you. Page 10, we got the final TDT report for the month of September. It's the final one for the fiscal year as well. Had a good month. We kind of ended the year on a couple of up months, which was nice. We were up 8% in August and 14.5% in September. We landed at $25.25 million, which was just about 1%, a little over 1% off from last year's $25.5 million. And you know, we had since the 2020 year, we had 3 consecutive years of double-digit growth, and so this year is the first year we did not grow. We stayed basically flat, but I would say, you know, with last year being an all-time high, I think that's, you know, showing 2 strong years. And as we're going into the new fiscal year, seeing some strength coming out of August, September being up. October right now is looking like it will be up, and some early advances on November look good as well. So I would say all in all, a good year, and that helped us with budgetarily landing at that. On page 11 is our budget report for September. This is the final report. We were just the one I always look at is marketing and promotions and advertising fund 1441. This is the first fund on that page at the top of 11, and we were just under budget by about $900,000. $250,000 of that was the Palm Bay Sacrifice Park project that we're just holding funds for. They haven't drawn anything against that yet. Because we were under our budgeted amount, we were a little bit under on the taxpayer payments because obviously if we didn't collect the funds, we don't pay those. And then we had planned on being about $500,000 to $600,000 under on marketing, just so we could carry that forward into this year. So that's exactly what happened. So we were, you know, we're basically spot on for our budget of about $16 million. Other than that, you know, the other highlights in the beach fund, we were able to carry forward quite a bit, obviously, from last year. So we've got, going into the new year, we've got about $8.85 million in reserves. We still have quite a bit in the actual improvement and renourishment fund, and we do have some projects this year that Mike talked about last month, but you know, we're not going to be spending that down significantly, so we'll be in good shape, I think, for beach. Capital projects, a lot of capital projects wrapped up last year. Lori Wilson had the last little bit of spending. Of course, the U.S. law enforcement got their that was their first $1 million of $5 million, so they'll have another $1 million this year. Veterans Memorial carries forward funds, and then, of course, they were awarded additional funds, so they'll have about 2.3-ish million this coming fiscal to spend. I don't know if they'll spend it all in this year or some will bleed into the next year, but we'll see on that. The Merritt Island Wildlife Project wrapped up, Cocoa Village Playhouse, Valiant, all of those projects kind of wrapped up. So we were ending a lot of capital projects that were had been ongoing for a few years. I think that's pretty much it. Those are the highlights. Happy to answer any questions, but all the other funds kind of take care of themselves, if you will. Nothing more really to earth-shattering to report on those. So if there's no questions, then Sarah, I can go into item 3.
Any questions on the budget or the year end? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so Brevard Cultural Alliance is here today. They had asked to do a special presentation and make a request of the TDC. Normally, these requests would have gone through the Cultural Committee first, but as you recall, we ended up canceling those last 2 meetings, so we did not have a Cultural Committee where they could come and present, so they're coming directly to the Tourist Development Council. So Catherine Ethsrock is here from BCA. She's their new director, and I think she's addressed us before, but this is her first time doing a little presentation, so welcome.
Well, thank you, Peter. And thanks, everybody, for being here today. I appreciate it. So this is our proposal to the TDC for your consideration for this fiscal year. As the designated local arts agency for our region, Brevard Cultural Alliance ensures that the current and ongoing growth of art and culture through our mission to build and sustain a vibrant and dynamic arts and cultural sector integral to Brevard County's quality of life. Art is an essential element to a thriving community, with the arts generating over $123 million annually and employing more than 1,500 individuals just in Brevard County. BCA works to fuel our arts-powered economy. Recognizing the influence of the arts on our lives and collective health, we support the well-being of our artists and audiences, develop our arts ecosystem, and advance arts education, forming the next generation of innovators and creators. This proposal for TDC consideration that I hope you will recommend to the Board of County Commissioners outlines several programs that BCA will provide in the 2024-2025 fiscal year for the benefit of Brevard County. So to start off, we have dynamic placemaking. BCA's Art in Public Places program is the main way through which we are able to do our dynamic placemaking work. Art in Public Places curates rotating exhibitions of art from local artists for display in buildings across the county, like the government complex. It's actually right out here. Some of it's out here in the hallway. You can take a look at it while you're maybe waiting for the elevator. Really interesting stuff that's out there right now. It's all fiber art. It's really fun. So we've got some here in the government complex, multiple city halls, the Melbourne International Airport, and a number of other locations. Artworks can be purchased directly off the walls through BCA, and this program benefits 3 different audiences of folks. So it benefits artists. Their art is shown. They're able to buy into this program, not really buy in, but provide their art as their buy into this program, rather than buying into a gallery space that's much more expensive. Their art is shown, it's available for sale. Every single piece that we have through Art in Public Places has a title card next to it with the artist's name, the title of the piece, a cost for it, and contact information on how to purchase it. They call us, we can process the sale, and you can take the art home right off the wall that same day. Host locations benefit from having enriched spaces. It shows their love for their community and for quality artwork, and you get a nice fresh view of art every couple of months. It gets swapped out. And then the public has the ability to view, learn about, and purchase quality local artwork, like I said, right off the wall. Art in Public Places is a huge program. It's one of the main things that we do. We have almost 1,000 pieces of art that are in our possession, whether those are on the walls in locations or in storage in our office waiting to be rotated through. We're currently in 25 different locations. That's 14 businesses and 11 government buildings. And we have more than 600,000 folks who view these pieces of art every single year. And I'm sure it's much more than even that. Our big goal for Art in Public Places this year is to add 3 new locations, at least, to Art in Public Places. We also have a new employee that's managing this. Our past employee that managed Art in Public Places was Lynn Brazina, and she was with BCA for 29 years. Next year's our 50th anniversary, so she was there for a long, long time. So new, fresh face and some good goals for 2024, 2025. Now, our next category is inspiring next generations. So through our committed and longstanding relationships with both the Brevard Schools Foundation and Brevard Public Schools, as well as several community organizations, Brevard Cultural Alliance is able to put on a handful of really impactful programs in Brevard Public Schools. There are 2 main programs that we run through this. That's Next Generation Artist Residencies and Arts Clubs. The artist residencies pair a professional local artist with either a school or a classroom. They do a number of drop-ins throughout the school year, and they work with the kids to either have a performance piece to show everyone at the end of the year, or some sort of physical piece that they've worked on together. So in this picture that you can see here from Saturn Elementary School, they worked on this awesome mural on the wall of a Saturn V rocket. So cool. And it teaches these kids interdisciplinary skills, next generation technological skills. It teaches them how to work together, and they get to see an artist in their community who is a professional artist, not a starving artist, and that this is something you can do and you can make a living being an artist in your community. In the 2023-2024 school year, we had these programs. The arts clubs are also an after-school initiative run by teachers. If they're willing to give up some of their time and their classroom space after school, we'll provide some supplies and some assistance with that, and they can run art clubs in middle schools. In the 2023-2024 school year, we had our programs in 17 different schools involving 48 different teachers, 200 total class hours of instruction, 2,000 students that were directly impacted, and over 9,000 students that were indirectly impacted by those teachers going out and teaching other auxiliary classes. For the 2024-2025 year, our goal is to raise at least $25,000 to support our educational programming and help it grow and thrive. Our next section is connecting the dots. Another huge thing that we do is to act as a connector in the community to try and champion cultural organizations and artists that show off their high-quality artistic experiences and all the great things that we have to offer here in Brevard County. So we do this through a number of different formats. A big one is promoting cultural events through social media, our online events calendar, which there's a picture of right here, word of mouth, all kinds of different ways. We actually were just looking at an updated version, the most up-to-date version of our calendar this weekend. I don't remember if it was both days or just Saturday. There are 10 separate, completely different cultural events going on just this weekend, and that's just what's on our calendar. There's certainly more that doesn't get added to our calendar. So much is going on in Brevard County all the time. Another way that we do this is new that we've just put together, is a lovely holiday happenings sheet of all kinds of fun events that you can go to around Brevard that are holiday themed, and shopping opportunities at different cultural organizations. So if anybody's interested in any of these, let me know. I'd be happy to get you a stack of them. We also provide directories of artists, venues, events, service providers, all kinds of things. If someone's looking for a grant writer, we've got a couple recommendations for them. If someone's looking for even a sign language interpreter, I know we can point them to the right direction. Sometimes that's kind of tricky to track down here. We also connect artists, businesses, government, and members of the public, trying to be that connection piece where we've got a bit of a presence everywhere to be able to make those connections where they're needed. We are also seeking and developing some new services and benefits for our members, including a co-working space that they can take advantage of, and video, photography, and podcasting studio space that is affordable and accessible for everyone. So in works on that. You'll be hearing more soon. And a 2024-2025 goal for us is to reorganize our membership program and diversify benefits and provide more benefits, and rework what does that membership structure look like. Our final category here is engaging forward. This one is lengthy and so important. BCA remains an experienced advisor, dedicated partner, and resource provider for Brevard County and all of its municipalities for art and culture. For 2025, we plan to continue and grow all of these items. Robust representation on our board of directors. We have, I believe, 18, it might be 19 now, Board members, 10 of those are representatives of art and cultural organizations in the area. So we've got a significant and strong number of fantastic leaders in art and cultural organizations that are on our board. Speaking engagements on art and culture, our goal for this upcoming year is to deliver at least 10 public speaking opportunities. I think we will meet, if not exceed that, pretty easily. Then next, service on Brevard County organization boards. If we're asking for art and cultural leaders to come and serve on our board, I think it's only fair that I and other members of BCA go out and try to provide that same service to other organizations. So at the moment, I'm on the Economic Development Commission's reporting board and on the Space Coast Science Center Executive Committee board, which does not yet, the Science Center does not yet exist. Again, you'll hear more, I'm sure, more and more about that as time goes on, but working on getting that up and off the ground. Goal for 2024, 2025 in this realm is to add one additional board seat to round it out to a nice 3. Next is producing at least 10 episodes of True Colors on the Space Coast, which is our podcast. In the past, we've done an episode every other week for a chunk of months out of the year. I think we're going to switch over to having one episode per month so we can dig a little bit more into that. Out of the 4 seasons that we've had this podcast, we have 32 episodes that are live streamed with a collective 12,800 views on Facebook and YouTube. This year, between season 3 and season 4, we saw a 383% growth in viewership. Massive. Don't know how we're going to top that, but we're going to make it happen. It's a fantastic program, and the goal of this podcast is to shine a light on emerging local artists who belong to minority communities, whether that is an ethnic or racial group, or an artist with a disability, or an artist in an interesting age range that you wouldn't think of, from our youngest to our oldest. If you're in a minority group, we want to highlight those artists and give them more of a platform. Next is our continued publication of our Muse News weekly newsletter. This has events and new members and calls for artists, all kinds of things in it. It's a great newsletter. And our online events calendar, as you saw earlier. Next is to provide counsel and access to information on grants and different types of funding resources. A goal for us in this next year is to provide 4 workshops or info sessions on grants for cultural organizations and artists, whether that's for local, state, national, or foundational grants, or a combination of all. Another goal for us is to table at least 4 public or tourism-related events to get information out about BCA and about all of the fantastic art that's happening in Brevard County, to spread public awareness and connection with individuals in the community. Then finally, we've got 2 kind of special projects going. We're working with Palm Bay's Recreation Department to add fine art and fine artists to their multicultural festival coming up in 2024. Or no, excuse me, this is 2024. 2025, the year is flying. And then another one is we're working with Satellite Beach on a project to put wraps around FDOT utility boxes and make them a little more beautiful. So we've sourced some local artists for them, and they're working together to get those pieces of art printed onto vinyl, I don't know, and get that wrapped around those utility boxes. And a goal for us along that line for 2024, 2025 is to work with each of the county commissioners to help on a special project, maybe following a special interest that they might have in their district, so that we're spreading the love and the help across the entire community and every single district. So to make these programs, initiatives, and partnerships possible, BCA is requesting $202,000 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. In addition to our own revenue streams, support from community organizations and individual citizens, investment from Brevard County and the Tourism Development Council will help us to be able to achieve and exceed these goals and many more. The arts enlighten our lives with beauty, emotion, and understanding. They cultivate a sense of identity and belonging. They foster creativity and innovation and promote social interaction, all necessary to a vibrant region, attracting investment from visitors, residents, and industry. With Brevard Cultural Alliance as a beacon, we can ensure continued cultural arts and cultural vibrancy in Brevard County. Together, we shine brighter and ensure that tomorrow does launch here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Should I start? Yeah? Couple questions. All great programs. We should have more of this. Obviously, there's headwinds at the board level, the county commission board with respect to funding cultural grants and cultural funding in general, as we all are aware of. But the first question is, do you have a breakdown? There's no sort of dollar amounts tied to the various initiatives.
Sure. A general breakdown here for you.
I mean, there's a lot of work here, obviously, a ton of energy, and is it additional staff, or is it direct costs?
A combination, direct staff and direct costs, materials and supplies, and then making sure that we have professionals who know what they're doing, who can carry out the quality that is needed for these programs instead of doing them halfway.
Okay, so hypothetically here, if we support this, we're going to need a breakdown, because the commission will ask for a breakdown,
Sure.
and then they'll maybe support all of it, maybe support some of it.
Would you like me to run you through a quick guesstimate breakdown?
Yeah, so
Sure.
payroll, for example, you have, looking at the budget here, which we have on pages previous, we can all look at that. The BCA got $202,000 in funding last year. The cultural grants were funded at $503,000. We only did one major event funding at $75,000 because the air show didn't get anything. Yeah, but that's going to come back. And then maybe you should.
There were two. There was the Space Coast Fair, and that was $25,000, and then Thunder on Cocoa Beach was $50,000. So there were actually two major
Yeah.
events last year. So
I guess the first question is, I lost track, there were so many machinations. Did the Board of County Commissioners allocate the cultural grant funding as part of the lifeguard funding?
yeah. So what
Issue.
happened? You're talking about last year, or
No,
for this
the
coming year?
budget for the coming year.
Yeah, so yesterday was the board meeting where we brought the marketing support program. We had, the TDC had recommended, there were 24 cultural and 20 sports events that were awarded $805,000. The board tabled it and requested that the new board, when they convene, have a workshop to go through all of those and make some determinations about them. So we're kind of waiting for the new board. The new board gets seated on the 19th, which is next Tuesday, and then their first sort of official meeting will be December 3rd. And so we'll have to kind of wait and see what they want to do, but they kind of kicked the can a little bit down the road. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, right now there's $805,000 that have been allocated. Of that, $600,000 came out of the cultural, and then there was $240,000 out of the marketing program for a total available funds of $840,000, but we only basically awarded $805,000. So that's kind of where it sits right now. And then there is, as far as what's remaining in the cultural grant fund, there's about $250,000 left in that fund for this fiscal year to allocate. So,
Okay, so for the coming fiscal year, we have the 202 allocation for BCA. We have cultural grants that we've committed, but they have yet to approve for 500.
well, 600 that came out of that program, and then 240 out of marketing. So they were kind of out of two different programs.
Which leaves 2 and change in the cultural fund. So which,
No, they also awarded $300,000 for lifeguards, so that rounds out the total. So if we award the 202 this year to BCA, there'll be less than $50,000 left in that account. So,
for major events.
no, well, the 805 covers the major events as well as, it covered everything. It covered larger events as well as smaller events.
What
So
did we budget, I forget, what did we budget for major events? Was it the
It was 600 total that came out. So that's where we got it, was last year we had 530 for the support program, and then 75 for the major, so that was, it was like 605. So we pulled 600 out of that for all of those types of
Okay.
events, yeah. So, yeah, but we can take 600 for that program, 300 for the lifeguards, and now we've got like 250 left. If we take 202 for that, it leaves a little less than 50 in that account to, probably will roll over till next year,
Okay.
yeah.
Did everybody follow that? I concluded that there's 250 that can be allocated for cultural education and cultural events in the cultural fund, which I was pleasantly surprised to hear. So now we know that. And so, any other questions or thoughts?
Question, yes.
Mayor,
Thank you very
got
much.
two mayors now. Mayor,
Yes,
Mayor.
so this, the cultural aspect of the TDC has certainly changed quite a bit from what it is today as to what it was a few years when I started doing this, and it's changed every year. One of the things that's been a constant once we got started was that some of the smaller groups got left out of the program completely. They didn't have enough of the tourists come in order for them to qualify to even make any application for the grants at all. One of the things that was suggested, I believe, last year or possibly the year before, I think just before you came, was that BCA would have programs and have their own income come in so that BCA could have grants for these smaller groups, because you can't grant money. Once we grant you grant money, you can't turn that into other grants. So do you do that? Have you done anything to be able to have your own income without relying on the TDC grant money 100%?
Right, that is the goal. That's what we're working towards. Like you said, I came on in January of this year, so it's taken a little bit of time to get the hang of things and learn the ropes and learn the complications of how everything works. But that is part of what we're working towards, especially with that membership rework. We've got some really, really great benefits that are coming that I think will be incredibly attractive. We're working on putting together some events that will be coming up this year that hopefully will generate some more income for us as well. So we've got a couple of things in the plans to get that going so that we have our own consistent and strong, much stronger revenue streams for our own selves. But at this moment, we're in that building phase, if that makes sense.
All right, and since you were granted 202 last year, and you're asking for 225 now, right?
An
No,
additional.
202 still.
Just an additional, I must have misheard you, thank you. So what do you find to be your biggest challenge in handling your budget? What is your biggest draw or your biggest drain?
Our biggest challenge is that we are a 4-person team. We have 2 full-timers and 2 part-timers. So there are only so many hours in the day and only so many things that 2.5, 3 people can really accomplish in a given period of time. I think that's the biggest challenge, is we've got lots of ideas and lots of great extra things that we'd love to do, but keeping, especially art in public places, that is a whole full-time job to do all of the installations and driving around town and maintenance on the van and cataloging and organizing 1,000 pieces of art. I mean, there are departments in museums that are multiple people to manage 1,000 pieces of art. So that, I think, is our biggest challenge, is we've got the ideas, we've got the drive. It's just the people and the man time to get it done.
And these, of course, would be paid people, and then that was a further draw on your...
Correct.
On your funding.
Correct.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair?
Mayor.
So I have a question directly in regards to you assisting Palm Bay's Recreational Department in the fine arts for their multicultural festival. Does that include any fine artists creating a mural of some sort?
That's not in the plans. We could try and pull that together. I'm not sure if it would come together in enough time, so that's coming pretty quickly, but that's something we could always look at.
Okay, so what do you mean? Could you define that a little more? In
They
assisting-
were interested in having, especially the indoor gymnasium space, to be set up with traditional visual artists with art for sale, or demonstrating them adding to a painting and creating art to add in addition to the dancers and singers and craft fairs and all of that, that they wanted another layer of fine art to be added to it. So we're helping source
That same
artists for
center
that.
has a really nice wall that can provide a space for a mural.
Yeah.
Then my second question is, when you mention minority groups in particular, right? Have you considered veterans? Have you considered veterans that are challenged and housed scientifically? Or this has helped those that have challenges that, are wounds that are unseen?
We're on the same page. That's coming up this year. That in this
Outstanding.
next
Are you
season.
partnering with the Department of Veteran Affairs?
We have not in the past, but I'm happy to look into that.
Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity. When you talk about providing grants, the resources of getting veterans involved may prove useful there. They have, and I'm going to age myself with this comment, they have a huge Rolodex of several veterans that would probably participate, not only in that, but they also have veterans that have those challenges that are taking guitar lessons. And so that has been successful as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you.
Absolutely.
That concludes my question, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just have a question.
Yep.
So you've already been awarded 202,000, or is it that for last year's?
That was last year.
Last year. So you have not been awarded anything for this current
So
fiscal year we're in now?
That's right.
24,
Right.
25?
Correct. That's what the request is for.
Okay, just wanted to
So
make sure
this-
it wasn't, because it was the same number, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Right.
I'm confused.
What?
So, no, thank you for bringing that up. That was correct?
Okay,
I was under the impression that in the budget, we had their regular operating allocation of $202,000.
No, sir. I mean, we have about 250,000 in that account, but it hasn't been officially allocated to anything
So
yet.
this is just for their operating budget?
This is-
I thought we were talking about
No.
$422,000 to
No,
double
sir.
their budget.
No, sir, it's just
All right.
202.
I
Yeah.
think it's because it took so long to get the approval for last time, right? It wasn't approved at the
Were a number of factors with that,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Normally, they would have come probably in September to make the request, but,
Right.
there was a lot of sort of delays waiting to see how that budget was going to be utilized for other things potentially. So that happened in September, and then, the marketing support program happened in October, and so they now are coming for the first time for this fiscal year. So,
Okay.
yeah, they're a little late, but
Okay, got it.
All right,
Thank
well,
you. Explain.
that changes this. So everybody's clearer now. There's no allocation for BCA in the current budget. So this is a request to fund their organization, which has been doing great work for many, many years. All right. I will then entertain a motion to fund the BCA generously out of the $250,000 that we have left.
I'll motion to approve
At what amount?
202,000, the requested amount.
You can go higher if
Oh,
you
you
want.
want- I don't know if I want to put them in that situation.
Oh,
Did you request 202,000?
Yes.
Okay. Motion.
I support going higher. I just don't
All
want
right.
to put them in a situation that
Okay. The request was for
I think we
202,000.
should, yeah.
Good
to
motion. You're smarter than me.
Thank approve. You deserve a lot more.
Yeah, you deserve a
That's
lot.
my caveat.
I would
Oh,
second
thanks.
at the 202.
We have a double mayoral second. That should carry a lot of weight. I know, that's not joking when I say that. So we have a motion and a double second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
I was confused.
It's
I
a-
was,
it's a bit confusing,
obviously, from
yes.
my earlier discussions, I thought you were asking to double your budget, which is why I was asking for more detail.
Understandable.
But keep doing the good work that you're doing, and at the very least, maintain, yep, enough said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I make a comment about this just real quick?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's so important that we always talk about this, that for me as a hotelier, using this money to put, heads in beds, as we like to call it, but creating opportunities for our guests to stay longer is one of the biggest things that I've seen in my 25-plus year career here that we need to continue to work on, because they come, but there should be more things to do and make sure that there's stuff for our guests to do. And this adds a big layer of that. So thank you for being that contacting point.
I will bring up one piece of history. Several of you have heard it, but I'll repeat it. Maybe somebody's listening online. In 95, 596, there was a referendum to pass the first 2 cents, and it failed. We did not have a bed tax. This is after the statute first came around, allowing counties to provide a bed, or to collect a bed tax. Then there was a huge grassroots effort in order to get the bed tax, led by hoteliers, because everybody recognized that if other counties and other destinations have marketing funds to market them and we don't, we're going to lose as a tourism community. And it was the cultural community that came together, because there are much greater numbers and, you know, more significant voices, people that care about culture. And it was the cultural community that brought it across the line 2 years later, I think it was in 96, that actually passed the first 2 cents. So if it wasn't for the cultural community and the 5% that they get, we wouldn't have had the bed tax then, which led to the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th cent. So yes, it's about putting heads in beds and the economic impact that tourism has for all businesses in Brevard County. But this was part of the deal, that the cultural organizations are supported in this way, and it does enrich our lives as Brevard County residents as well as benefit tourism. I said it again. I'm great at repeating myself.
A great history lesson,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Learned that from Roger Dobson, Gene Bjorning. May they rest in peace. Next on the agenda. Public comment. Anybody from the public wishing to make a comment? We don't need cards. Otherwise, we'll skip forward. Any board member wishing to enrich us with some new information, we'll start with Julie. Alex?
Nothing to share.
All right. Mayor Medina is next on the list.
Yes, sir. Just wanted to brief this council that the Palm Bay City Council received a brief or presentation from the BMX industry, and it was suggested that perhaps they should work closely with Peter Kranis. So as a point of information, I think that industry does bring heads in beds. They are growing throughout our state. So I just wanted to give a heads up to council that perhaps they'll be coming forward with a presentation as well. And
What is the BMX?
BMX is like these bicycles.
I remember I had a
tournaments.
BMX bike.
They have tournaments.
I hadn't heard
Yes,
about
sir.
that in 30 years.
Yes, sir. And there's actually a huge following.
Sure.
Of individuals, perhaps your age, that are still BMXing in tournaments in the whole nine. So it was quite interesting. So I just wanted to brief this council to let you know that this may be forthcoming, but they do have numbers as it affects heads and beds. And they right now currently have a huge group within the city of West Melbourne, Palm Bay, the town of Malabar, and the southern region that actually goes out to Osceola County today. And they're looking at even going further south to Port St. Lucie. So there is consideration going on for the city of Palm Bay as well.
Are we talking about like sports grants for events, kind of like Mitch Barnes, bringing events to the area, BMX specific?
Well, I would yield to Peter on that to see how they could work things out, perhaps give a grant or partner with the city somehow in the future, however that looks like. It's just worth exploring.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Terry Parks is our sports commissioner. He's been in contact with them and is aware of what they're trying to accomplish there. I think the sports grants is probably a good path, depending on where we end up with this marketing support program. Obviously, the sports got wrapped up into that, so we'll have to see how that gets, if it gets carved out next year or not. Also, the capital budget next year is going to be a little thin because it'll be the first year for the aquarium to get their $1.5 million. They get that for 10 years. We still have the $1 million for the USLEF, law enforcement. And then we still have Vieira Fields that we're paying for, which is about $500,000 to $600,000. So we've got $3 million already sort of accounted for out of that budget, and it's only about a $3.5 million recurring. And all of the funds were spent down that were carried forward previously for lifeguards and other programs. So $5 million was spent for Brightline, We're still waiting to hear, the Chrissy grant did not come through at the federal level, but they're looking at other grant opportunities with that. So that they have 3 years to ground break on that project. So right now that $5 million is encumbered. And then there was, a few other grants that were awarded last year. So we're a little thin in the capital area. So we'll have to kind of think about how to manage that going forward.
Very good. Dilesh, anything? Nothing to report? Mayor Young, congratulations on your election.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I have nothing to report.
Nothing to report. All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, nothing to
That's a
report.
long list. Wayne, Wayne, there you are, right after Dilesh. Wayne, nothing to report. I have nothing to report. Hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I just want to add something. Peter and I were alerted today that representatives of FIFA, Federation International Football Association, will be visiting Eastern Florida College as a site for the 2026 World Cup for training for teams potentially to come here. So that'll happen within the next 2 weeks. So it's an exciting time because the impact of FIFA, whenever you get a team to be able to be based here, is pretty darn exciting. So just thought I'd share that with the group.
Very cool.
Welcome them to Palm Bay. We got soccer fields.
The World Cup is in 2026, and Miami is one of the venues that they'll do the prelims, the preliminary matches at.
And then I just wanted to add, thank you, everybody, for serving this year. This is our last meeting of the calendar year. Our new calendar will start again in January, January 22nd. We'll stick with the fourth Wednesday of the month with the exception of November. And then June and December are off months. I'll be reaching out individually for people on where they are with their terms and who appointed them. As you know, the County Commission has 3 new commissioners starting. They'll be sworn in on the 19th, which is next Tuesday evening. The new chair of the board will be selected at that meeting. And then following that meeting, at some point, I'll hear who the designated commissioner from the board will be for the TDC, and if they want to chair the TDC, or if they want the TDC to choose its chair, they have that option. So I'll be getting more information probably in the next couple of weeks, and I'll get that out to everybody. That's all I had.
Very good. Happy Thanksgiving. See you in December. Meeting in December, right?
No.
No meeting in December.
No meeting in December.
Merry Christmas.
Yep.
Happy holidays. Adjourned. Thank you.
Hit the gas.